There you go. Hello, everybody, and welcome to another Integrated Skills podcast. Today, I am joined with my very good friend and colleague, Bartlomiej Naruk, Bartek, Barry. He's here to join us today for hopefully an interesting discussion. So good to see you, Bartek. How are you?
Fantastic. Thanks, Fergus. Thanks for having me. Really appreciate this. I think I'm delighted to be here and looking forward to our chat.
Fantastic.
Take it away.
Fantastic. I guess, I was thinking back to, I guess we've known each other quite a while now. It must be about 10 years or so since you and I first met, right?
Maybe even longer. I think, if I remember correctly, that was December 2009 in Dublin.
2009, back in our Delta days, eh?
Indeed, Delta buddies.
Yes, indeed. Yes, we took on the Delta International House in Dublin in 2009. So Bartek, maybe for everybody watching, tell us a little bit about yourself. So you are an English language teacher, but tell us how did you get into it? How did you get the bug for teaching, and how did you get from there to where you are today?
Okay, so so I've been teaching for quite some time, actually, 20 years. It's been a fascinating journey so far, and every day is different. And I guess most of us would agree that every day is exciting because we learn something every day. At least that's my standpoint, and that's my approach. But I think, how did it all start? I got into acting when I was very, very young. I was 14 and I became a mime. That was just part of a little side project in my high school. And I just totally fell in love. I just loved being or interacting with people. And I think that's how it all started. And then I read a book about an English chap who goes to live and teach in Greece. And then I put it together, traveling, teaching. Boom, that was my recipe.
you got the bug from there, right? And sorry, it just occurs, do you find, kind of jumping to the end a little bit, but do you find at all that your background as a mime has some carryover to your teaching? Like, can you see it reflected in the way you teach at all?
That's actually a good question and an interesting one. I believe, you see, the minute I'm in front of a bunch of students or teacher trainees, actually, I don't like to call them that, in front of teachers, with whom I'm working, or adults. Well, at the end of the day, I think it's kind of in my blood by now, because it's been so long. I've been doing it, well, pretty much for 30 years now, 31 really, if I really want to go back to the point where it all started. So absolutely, I mean, being animated and, using actually miming when I try to explain certain things. To my students.
I remember absolutely back in our days doing Delta, doing cross observations when we would observe each other teaching. I learned so much from you. I think I told you recently, I have a third conditional class, which I stole a few back in 2009, which I still use to this day. And I remember watching you in the class, the way that you, through your mannerisms, but also, through your, graded language and all the things that we're trained to do as teachers, drew the students out of themselves, got them out of their shells a little bit, which was, real. It changed something for me, like I always say to teachers, you don't have to be Fergus, but you can see something maybe in me and incorporate that into yourself. And I remember having that experience with you, watching you teach, and say, okay, I'm not going to pretend to be Bartek, but I can try and incorporate some of that, I guess, outgoingness and friendliness and enthusiasm for the job, for sure. So tell us. Sorry, go ahead.
I will never forget my teacher of literature. And the minute he was in the game and he was really into it, he was almost jumping up and down. And I think he was a huge inspiration as well. because he was different. I'll never forget his classes. And yeah, I guess it's all about engaging with people and, you know, having this, the experience of doing something together, you know, the experience of connectedness. And then, yeah.
I like the word you used there as well. I was just going to say inspiration. I was just speaking with a colleague about this recently. We were talking about motivation and, you know, extrinsic and intrinsic motivations. And I was thinking, like, one of the best motivators actually is an inspired teacher, you know, like,
Absolutely.
You know, be an expert and be well trained and everything, but, you know, love what you do and bring that to your lessons, and your students can't but be motivated by it. So just tell us, what are you up to these days? Where do we find you in the world, Bartlomiej?
All right. So yeah, I'm currently in Thailand, actually. So, you know, I've taught in many places, including Poland, Ireland, Sri Lanka, Vietnam. So currently in Thailand, and I just got a new job. I'm an ESL teacher at a secondary school in Bangkok. And I'm fortunate enough to be working remotely, as many of us are, I believe. And we decided to move down south from 133 kilometers, and we're enjoying the time by the beach.
Oh, very nice.
After work.
Very nice.
But yeah, obviously online setting, and you know, many of us have been working in this environment for quite some time, and yeah, it can be challenging, I guess. I mean,
for sure. And, you know, like it's a great bridge towards what I want to kind of get into with you today is the online context, because yeah, so many of us are finding ourselves teaching online. And, you know, I wanted to talk about kind of what we were talking about in the beginning in the online context, this idea of developing rapport with our learners. You know, like it's you know, we kind of mentioned being inspired and being enthusiastic and engaging your learners and all of these kinds of things. And I guess, you know, when I think about it, you know, there are things that we do in the face-to-face classroom setting that we can kind of translate to the online arena, shall we say. But I'd like to pick your brain, like, because you're working in it quite regularly now. What approaches do you have, or do you have any ideas, or maybe some activities for getting the rapport going in this online?
Yeah, obviously, yeah. Thank you, Fergus. So obviously, you know, establishing rapport, like you said before, and we had mentioned before, is huge, and it's a lot easier to do this in a face-to-face environment, and it's definitely a lot more challenging to do it in an online setting. However, nothing is impossible, you know, and I think we all keep on trying because we're passionate, because we love what we do. So we keep coming up with ideas to engage with our learners. But I think you know, if I was to give any advice, I think it's all about, you know, personalizing it. So, you know, talking about yourself as a teacher, because I think very often students are interested in who you are, what you like doing. So that could be a starting point. And then obviously focusing on the students, you know, getting them to talk about themselves, because you know, kids want to learn about their classmates. So actually, if you don't mind, I'm going to do a quick activity, if that's okay. So it's a very short activity.
Absolutely.
It's
I would
called,
absolutely love to.
Yeah, and then I'm going to ask you to do it as well, Fergus.
Oh,
so
even better.
Get ready. Get ready. So it's called show and tell. I mean, I'm sure many of us have come across a similar activity. You know, I've done it in a face-to-face setting as well. So what happens is you show an object, you pick an object, and you talk about it, and you answer a series of questions. So first of all, what is it? So I'm going to show you what I have chosen for today, if you don't mind.
Oh, go for it. Okay. So we got some.
So what is it, Fergus? You do the talking. I ask the questions, my friend.
Oh, fair enough. Well, I guess it's some goggles, or maybe specifically some scuba diving goggles.
Yes, it's a mask and to go along with it.
Ah, beautiful. You've got your breathing apparatus. You've got your snorkel, your mask and your snorkel.
Indeed. So this is how it starts. So you tell what it is. Then I'm going to tell you when I got it. And actually, that's an interesting story. I got it back in 2011 when I came to Thailand for the first time. And I totally fell in love with snorkeling. So I've had it since then for 10 years. And how does it represent me, or what does it say about me? Because that's the main idea when you show an object and what it says about you. So basically, I love water sports. I mean, I'm very much into any type of sport, but I love snorkeling and I love free diving. And this is how you start. You can give a model in front of your students, and then you ask your students or your participants to do something similar.
I love it, Bartek, because I love the model, and I love the actual the way that you've approached this, because you mentioned earlier on about tell your students something about yourself, like let them know a little bit of who you are, and like what you've chosen there is it's got an aspect of fun to it. It's a little bit it breaks down the kind of like extra degree of formality that there might be when you meet somebody for the first time, but at the same time, so you're telling them something about you, but you're not telling them your personal secrets or whatever, but you are telling them something that they wouldn't necessarily know just from seeing you as a teacher. So what I'm getting at here, what I really love about it is you get the balance just perfect there. It's something very personal, but it's also like not an overshare, and sometimes I guess, when we're starting out in a profession such as teaching, like we're wondering, where is that line kind of thing? Oh, I want to share something about myself, but it might be too much. So no, I love that. And it's interesting as well. Like, it's like, what's it like to snorkel in Thailand? The waters there must be amazing. Like, what do you see, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. Like, it's going to.
Of course, and then you can get students to ask follow-up questions. Another version 2 of the same activity or similar activity could be you could choose a photo that's special to you,
nice.
and then you could perhaps ask a series of similar questions. Maybe actually you could use Padlet. So if you don't mind, actually, I'm going to share a link.
Okay.
And you could have a look at an activity that I set up with my students.
Okay, go for it.
Quite recently, actually. Yeah. So I'm going to share it in the chat there, Fergus, if you would like to open it.
Yeah. Are you going to see something on your side, on your screen?
Oh, actually, yes, I'm sharing, I believe.
Yeah. So you can go ahead and share your screen there so that this is seen by everyone.
Can you see it, Fergus?
Sure can. Yeah, and I have that link open up here. Very nice.
Yeah, so there you go, So you could do something like that as well. So you get your participants or your students to choose a favorite photo, a photo that's important to them. So this is my sister and me.
Very nice.
And then they answer some of the questions. So the questions, as you can see, what or who is in the photo, where are you, what are you doing, and when did you take it, and why is it? Whoa, there's a bit of a there's a typo there. Why is it special to you? So yeah, just another version of a similar activity.
Yeah. And like, this is even more accessible than back in our 2009 Delta days, because everybody has one of these things in their pocket, and of course Absolutely. They have a photo with them. Like back in those days, you had to say, oh, bring in a photo to class next week, but now they just have it. So you can just say, get out your phone. You don't have to show everybody your photos, but choose one you want to talk about. And
that's a fair point. Yeah, it's so accessible. You give students up to, I don't know, 3 to 5 minutes, and they can choose a photo and get ready to talk about it. So, yeah.
And of course, that's going to be something that everybody has something to say about, to talk about, because, it's your life, it's personalized. you know, when I look at the photo that you're showing there, you know, I see 3 people, I can see you in it, but, you know, I want to know, well, you've already told me one's your sister, but like, I want to know, who are those people? Where is it? We all look so happy. What was going on, et cetera, et cetera.
Yeah.
So it's
and, you know, I'm sure many of you have used Padlet, but it's such a fantastic platform, you know, so there are various ways how you could do this. You could either ask your students to make a recording. Okay, so they write their name and they talk about the photo. And what happens, what the follow-up activity could be that you could ask your students to actually listen to a couple of recordings, and then they rate them and they leave some comments, which, you know, you kind of extend it. You get them more involved. And I've done this many times, and I'm sure all of us have. And yeah, students love it.
Absolutely. Yeah. Really, really, really great ideas. And really, like I said, the thing that I really take away from these examples that you're giving is getting that balance of, as I mentioned, personalization, and it's so engaging as well, because what could be more engaging than, you know, talking about your own actual life, and it's going to generate so much language then for you as a teacher to jump on and, you know, share with the rest of the classroom and you know, upgrade it, etc., and, you know, give, you know, pick out those teachable moments and everything. So it's really fantastic. Well, Bartek, look, this has been absolutely fantastic, and I'm not going to take up too much more of your time. I know that you mentioned to me that you have some more ideas. So I was wondering if you could, would you be willing to join us again here on the channel and share some more of your ideas about developing rapport and maybe teaching online?
Absolutely, Fergus. Yeah, I would love to.
Fantastic. Well, hopefully we'll have you back in the coming weeks. And anybody who's watching, please do leave a comment down below. Leave a question for Bartek or myself or both of us. We'd be absolutely delighted to respond to you. Please do hit the like, share, subscribe, all of that stuff that is mandatory to say. Give two likes, two thumbs up here on YouTube. And thank you very much, Bartek. It was great talking to you. Look, we got the light there.
There you go. Wait, you know, and let's do this one as well. Thank you, Fergus. Fantastic. Thank you for having me. I'm absolutely delighted, and I'm looking forward to our next meeting.
My absolute pleasure. It's always great to see you, my friend, and it's always great to talk to you. And yeah, absolute pleasure. And yeah, see you in the next one.
See you soon, Fergie.
Bye.
Thanks.
Bye.
See you. Bye-bye.